Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very jam-packed slice of gaming episode. We got a good amount of news to cover this week, and with me, I got the perfect people for the job. I'm the Uncharted Wolf, and I'm joined today by Bench.
Hello, I'm here and I am gaming.
He's here and he's gaming, and I'm also joined by another gamer? Question mark? Jat.
Hello, yes, I am a gamer, quote unquote. But I've also been watching more anime lately, so
Oh no.
yeah, so it's ambiguous.
I've lost another. Yeah, so we have a good amount of news this week, so I just want to get right into it. We've also been playing some games, allegedly. Maybe we are gamers, who knows? But before I actually start, first off, housekeeping. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find your favorite podcast channel. Like the podcast, any type of support helps, and follow us on Twitter at A Slice of Gaming. And you two are actually perfect. I wanted to ask this. We are about 2 days away from whenever this supposed Nintendo Switch Online playtest happens. First of all, we're all in agreement that it's going to leak, right? Someone's going to take a screenshot of what it is.
Yeah. Yes. Either that, or I think Nintendo will just straight up announce it just because they know that's going to happen. Because
yeah, they have to.
Yeah, like it's not just going to get leaked. Someone's going to friggin' data mine it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty certain I think I know what it is.
I mean, hey, let's do the last second predictions. Like, what do you think it is, Bench?
I think it's GameCube. I think it's GameCube games on the online where you can either download them as full games or have the option to stream them.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with that because it was that thing of thinking about, like, why do they need to do a playtest? It's like, oh, if they're streaming it, like, if that's like an option, maybe that's something that they're thinking about. Like, hey, if you want to stream these, because maybe you have to download the games outright. You can only download one at a time, or just stream them to their service, and they want to make sure that the servers are working correctly.
Well, I mean, I don't even think it's like download one at a time. It's just each GameCube game is 3 to 4 gigabytes, and that'll add up if when you download the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube app, you have to download them all. And that's just not realistic. Unless you, like, they probably give you the option if you want to, but, like, I think that you can either stream them or download them as you please.
Yeah, no, I really hope it. I mean, GameCube would be awesome. Jad, what about you? Are you in that theory as well?
Yeah, I think it has to be that because the app itself is like 2 gigabytes, and I can't imagine any other feature being that much. So yeah, it makes the most sense. And I'm wondering if this is how we end up getting the Wind Waker Twilight Princess ports.
Yeah, it's just like the non-HD versions. Like, what are these bummy ass versions? What? I feel like it's one of those things. I'm worried about what that GameCube library would look like and what they would port over, because it feels like a lot of those games are already remade. So it's like maybe they go with the games that aren't remade and just do those. What do you guys think? They just put the original versions and say whatever?
Yeah.
I think they just original versions, and I mean, like, we had the 3D All-Stars collection, and then we also had Mario 64 on the service. I don't think I think they're just gonna double up on some stuff that's already on maybe other things. And I also think there are some GameCube games we don't have, like F-Zero, Star Fox. Is there a Star Fox? There's Star Fox.
Yeah,
GameCube
Adventures
games.
and Assault.
There's Fire Emblem. There's
a lot of GameCube stuff still not on there.
Oh yeah, Smash.
We get Melee.
Yeah, Melee would be awesome. I feel like you could kind of sell the service alone off Melee because people just want a modern version of that game.
Oh yeah.
But I'm excited to see what it is. It is on the 20th, which is on a Sunday, so it's a little awkward, but hey, I'm excited. If it is GameCube, I'm going to be very excited. Is there a chance it's something lame, like this close?
Probably.
I don't think it would be just streaming, because the app's too big for it to just
2.2 gigabytes. It can't be.
But
Nintendo's proven me wrong in the past.
Anything else just is exciting. If it's not streaming, then it's exciting, at least for me, no matter what it is.
100%, yeah. There was that theory of the Miiverse coming back, which honestly, that'd be sick as hell.
Yo.
But I don't know. I think I'm on the GameCube train because there was also those leaked documents of GameCube NSO controllers. So when there's smoke, there's fire.
Wait, well, be even better than Miiverse coming back. They bring back Picto chat.
Oh my god, dude.
yeah.
Dude, remember fucking Street Pass on
Oh, yeah.
3DS? I was obsessed with those like puzzle pieces that you would get every time you walked by someone. Dude, they I don't know why they don't have something equivalent to Street Pass because it's like everyone's walking around with their Switch, at least like
Oh,
in
yeah.
the first couple of years. But yeah, anyways, that's just something I wanted to bring up real quick because I thought it was interesting. But let's get into the actual news, which we have a lot of, but a lot of them are pretty quick topics. First and foremost, something that we don't have to park on too long, but this is probably the biggest news that happened this week, and that's that Game Freak got hacked. Stealth 40K actually pointed out that Game Freak made a response. Game Freak issued a statement regarding the data breach on October 10th. CEO Satoshi Tajiri acknowledged more than 2,600 instances of personal employee information, past, present, and contract workers had been stolen. This is his primary concern, and the other leaks were not mentioned. So if no one was following this saga, on October 10th, which was like a Saturday, there was a massive data breach for the Game Freak, the guys who create the Pokemon games. And pretty much assets and ROMs and source codes of all Pokemon games from like Gen 3 all the way to, at this point, Gen 6. They weren't able to do much for Gen 7, and including the Switch games and Pokemon Legends Z8, and also some details about Gen 10 got leaked. And we got a lot of interesting concept art, beta. My boy Typhlosion is currently fighting some allegations, which was a weird saga that happened over the week. But it's a pretty insane situation, all things considered. And we're not gonna go into the actual leaks themselves and like what happened in the leaks, because me and Moon are gonna actually have like a discussion probably around this weekend, going over the actual details within the leaks. But I kind of wanted to ask you guys, like, what's your like top level thoughts on this whole situation?
Yeah. I think it's like, first off, really tragic that like people's personal infos got stolen, and of course, the things that are like confidential, that got leaked, like that's never a good thing for the company. And but I mean, some things that they should have released on their own were those concept arts, because those look cool. And
Yeah, they
there's
could
some
have easily done an art book with those concept art.
Yeah, but there's something I'm curious about, because I didn't know that like there isn't much Gen 7 stuff. But if there was, the biggest question in my head would have been, was that Pokemon Stars game real?
Dude, I remember
No.
that theory for years. I mean, the Stars is real. It's Ultra Sun and Moon. It was like everyone was expecting kind of a third version, and they just
Yeah.
went direct sequel. But yeah, that was a funny saga to think about, of everyone expecting Pokemon Stars. What about you, Bench?
I mean, I think a lot of it is very interesting, and yeah, I think it's bad that the employee info's out, but I think Jason Schreier in a podcast I was listening to put it best. It's like, no matter how like the info got out there, it's public info, so it should be covered, and I do agree with that. And I think there's just a lot of very interesting like what could have been scenarios for games. Like I really like Gen 6 and Kalos, but like what could have been theirs could have been like some of the best Pokemon games with the cut content. I mean, it's just
yeah, no, that was a rough development, all things considered. I mean, if you look into all the data, it seems like those games did not come out the way that they were wanting them to be, and there was a whole region of the map just completely cut.
Oh yeah.
yeah, and I think generally like a lot of it is really cool to see, and I think, I mean, it just gets me more in the mood to play Pokemon, because obviously we're not going to have a Pokemon game this year, and it's like kind of that weird like there's like that 4-year break now. And it's like we always tell them, hey, take more time, but I want Pokemon more often.
No, take more time. I want them to take more times after what happened to Scarlet and Violet. At least just make sure your games are fine. Like
Scarlet and Violet was technically bad, but I had other issues with Scarlet and Violet. So hopefully Gen 10 is good.
I mean, one very interesting thing was the leaker themselves said they just played through Legend ZA, and it's like fully playable from start to finish, like no issues there. It's mostly just like side quests are missing, certain things are missing, and assets and whatnot. But it seems like that game's pretty close to completion. It kind of tells me that maybe this is a first half of 2025 game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Launch window for Switch 2.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And it's interesting for ZA because we honestly don't really know what that game's going to look like. And it's honestly been like pretty scary because they've been saying like you're in the city the entire time. It's different than Arceus, but what they had with Arceus was very good. Like it's probably, I'd say, one of the best games on the Switch.
I'll say this about I'll say this about ZA. I feel like it's going to be a lot of city building mechanics. I don't know why. I just feel that.
And I think that's an interesting route to take it. But also, I think there was a lot of good with Arceus, so I'm very interested to see what they go with that.
I think you'll get a lot of those, like what they had with Arceus, and just kind of expand on certain aspects, and then create new aspects on top of it.
It's Arceus, not Arceus. Come on.
It's Arceus. It's literally pronounced Arceus in the anime. Watch the anime, and they say Arceus.
Yeah, but like they were voice directed wrong. We know this.
Wait, what is the official material that says it's Arceus?
That's the way I've said it since I was but a small boy.
Yeah, you're the tiebreaker.
Yeah. I personally say Arceus, but
That's
no, I don't.
That's my guy. Oh man, Jad, thank you. I'll make sure that $20 gets into your account.
Yeah.
I'll just end it off. What's one thing from this leak that like you guys just want to talk about the most right now before anything else? Like, what's the most interesting tidbit that came out?
I mean, I think it's some of the brainstorming things. Obviously, we won't go into details, but it's some of the stuff that I mean, all the fans know that Pokemon is actually a very morbid kind of thing because of just what's there, and it's they kind of knew that. It's just obviously they trim it all out for all kid stuff, and I think that was an interesting thing to look at.
Bench, I'll be honest, because the big thing that came out was those things from the Sinnoh library or Canalave library, those mythos and stories. And a lot of people kind of overreacted, in my opinion. Guys, they were cut for a reason.
I agree.
And also, this is very much how mythological stories are told.
It's cut for a reason, and also we have games like Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff. There's topics in games that are about the same level of grotesque.
I mean, I'll be honest, Bench, when I saw those things, what I thought first was they really want to make an M-rated Pokemon game. It seems like they genuinely want to take the series in a very mature direction, but they literally can't. There's no chance.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And also I think it's cool to see that they also recognize that Pokemon is kind of wild with you just capture monsters and what they're pretty much do your bidding and what that means. And I think that's cool that they recognize that, even if they can't really do much with it.
100%, yeah. Jad, do you have anything that you want to take off of this whole thing?
So personally, I think another cool thing that from this league was just some of the designs of of the Pokemon that were never used, and obviously without going through the specifics, I just thought that it's interesting that these were old concepts. And these were from the older generations, but they just never saw light of day. You'd think, they have these lying around that they could put them in later gens, like Gen 8 or Gen 7, but no, they just never got it. Got to them, yeah.
I think one thing that really stood out to me was the Gen 3 concept art. Because holy shit, some of those Pokemon designs. I mean, did you guys see Cacturn? That thing looks sick as hell. I look at those, it's god damn, there are some really talented artists on that team, and I feel like it's one of those things where it's I feel like they think, man, if we could make an M-rated Pokemon game or just work on something more mature, a different franchise, they'd love to do that, but it feels like they can't. They're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, very interesting situation. Like I said, me and Moon are going to do a podcast episode most likely this weekend, kind of going over all the leaks and actually dissecting them fully. Hopefully not being struck down by the Pokemon company.
Yeah, hopefully. But just a quick question. The leak was mainly Pokemon. They didn't have anything about that other game they made, right? The town game, I think it was Little Town Hero.
There was nothing about Little Town Hero. Man, I would have killed to see the development history of that.
Yeah,
but they did have Switch. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jet.
No, I was gonna say, imagine the games are so bad that even the leaker saw the file space, nah, we don't need that.
No, we don't need to know.
I was surprised we didn't hear anything about their game with Private Division.
That one seems farther off. I think in a case
they said 2026, and that's only a year and a half away at this point.
Well, actually, I mean, even then, kind of Jet said it jokingly, but I think also just it comes from the leaker not really caring, which is weird. Though I will say, Jet, you did kind of remind me. There was some stuff about the Switch, too. What was it codenamed? There was a code name for it. Do you guys remember?
Yeah,
It was like
yeah,
pounds or ounces. Oh, it
yeah.
was
So,
ounces.
It was
yeah.
ounce.
Ounce, yeah. And then I saw also, I think they said they're developing Gen 10 for both Ounce and the original Switch. So it's like a cross gen. I will say this: a lot of people, our Discord included, Mr. Bop, wanted to immediately say it's like, oh, see, this shows that there's going to be a lot of cross gen. It's like, guys, Pokemon has always done cross gen. Like
Yeah.
they don't care. Like Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 came out a year after the 3DS on the DS. Like it just doesn't matter. They're not a gauge for that.
Also, I guarantee there's a version of the next 3D Mario running on the Switch, and Switch 1, and that's likely not to happen on the Switch 1. It's what they decide to do. Because this Gen 10's not going to be until holiday 2026.
And yeah. Yeah. So one thing I was gonna say, sorry, is that like this is a thing that Nintendo has done before, like especially with the 3DS and new 3DS. When a game like, for example, Pokemon Sun and Moon came out, it ran like dog shit on the original 3DS, but the new 3DS it ran better. So I think same thing is gonna happen with the Switch and Switch 2.
I mean, that's very possible considering how Scarlet and Violet ran. If it's most likely going to be probably the same engine.
Yeah.
But yeah, a very interesting situation regarding that leak. Do you guys think there's going to be any further action from Nintendo or the Pokemon Company, or are they just like, hey, we want to worry about the employees first and foremost? I mean, they're probably going to get this leaker. they have ninjas.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, anything like, I saw some people say, oh, they're going to delay the game now. That's not how that works. Nope. That's just not how it works. But yeah, I think we're good to just move into the next topic, which relates to Bandai. Oh wait, no, not Bandai. Sorry. That's the next topic. We're actually going to talk about the Xbox third-party showcase. Immediately shows you how forgettable it was that I forgot it, and it's in the document.
Okay, I was hearing some hype about. I watched it, and I was hearing people hype it up. I thought this was not a great.
It was, to me, like, I mean, I'll just say, we're gonna all do our scores for me immediately. It's a 5. It's average. It's like, it didn't insult me or anything. It's 25 minutes, it's whatever, and there's some good stuff, I guess. But it's just like, there's some trailers in here where I'm like, I don't know why you guys thought this was a good idea to put this in here. I don't know what you're expecting, like, people to get off of this. What about you guys?
I'd give it a 4. It just was like forgettable. I mean, the only standouts are like Alan Wake 2, which I'm gonna play, but not on Xbox. And then FBC Firebreak, which is like, it's just interesting because I mean, we've heard about that project for a while. Just to finally see stuff from it is cool. And then, I mean, Yakuza looks great, but it's like I can't play that game until I play 8 other games. So,
what about I was fully expecting you to say Eden Zero as one of the highlights.
I mean, like I've heard about that game for like 3 years since it was like quietly announced. So it's like I'm excited for it, but I don't know if I'd pay $60 for it.
The only interesting thing about Eden Zero to me, because it just wasn't doing much for me trailer-wise, is that it's being developed by Konami and like published and everything. So that kind of tells me it's like, okay, Bandai Namco is not the only ones doing anime games. Like Sega did that Demon Slayer game, and then Konami's doing this. It's like, okay, that's actually good. Bandai Namco does not have a monopoly on these anime games anymore. So we don't get another of the JJK game that came out this year.
We'll talk about it later, but Bandai, like maybe those anime games aren't doing what they used to.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it very soon. I'm very interested to talk more about that. But I want to talk about FBC Firebreak. I know people are excited. I don't think it looks good. I just don't really. And listen, I'm not the target audience. I don't really care about these first-person shooter. Like, if you get me a first-person shooter, I want it from a specific FPS multiplayer game. It's kind of hard to like get me in on those nowadays. This one just didn't really have much of a style to it, which is weird considering that's all Remedy has is style. I don't want to say all, but that's their main thing is they have a lot of style. They have a lot of stylistic looks to their games that really scream out, and this game just had none of that to me. It was not a good showing. And also, I thought this was the canceled multiplayer game. I guess they had multiple multiplayer games in development. I did not realize that. And then, sorry, Jed, did you have something? Or?
Yeah, like so with Remedy, because I agree. Like, the game does looks okay to me, and I'm still gonna try it because it's launching on Game Pass. But I'm a bit like cautious in that Remedy is incredible with like their single player stuff. So them trying multiplayer, it's a bit of a risk for sure.
Yeah, no, for
And
sure.
yeah. So yeah,
It's
just
a whole new place for them.
exactly. And like with some developers, it works well. Some of them, it quite doesn't. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see with that one. That's 2025. But yeah, I mean, the only other thing that kind of stands out as new, because like here's the thing, there's a lot of like, as you said, Bench, there was like stuff that we saw already. Like Mouse PI still looks great, like Dragon Pirate Yakuza still looks great, but it's like we've seen these games already. And a Wu Chang, I thought it had a great trailer, but again, I've seen that one. There was this game called as for new stuff, The Legend of Babu. If you guys remember the one with the really weird looking dog.
Oh yeah.
That shit looked bad. Where it's like those facial. Someone said it was like it looks like a worse Kana. It's like, damn, that's the realest thing I've ever heard. But what's it called? In regards to anything else, yeah, Chronos: The New Dawn. I'll say real quick. That looks interesting. Bluebird Team is kind of more on the rise, considering how good Silent Hill 2 remake was. But other than that, I can't really do much else.
Yeah, and also one thing I noticed on this list, so the games that got the dates, like obviously Alan Wake 2's DLC, a game that's already out, and then the port for Phasmophobia, and like and Yakuza, which already had a date, but they bumped it up. But none of the other games that were new actually got like a date. Everything that did has a port, which honestly, that's the thing I don't really like this practice of, is like a vague timeline or like it's coming in the year when devs aren't certain.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things where it's like they're just throwing that 2025 date because it's like, we don't know. Especially also, you got to think about GTA 6. That's one thing that they're definitely like looking at. Like, when are you releasing?
Oh, for sure.
Just real quick, I gotta do one thing. I guess just final thoughts. Do you guys think Xbox is cool with like continuing doing these third-party showcases, or do you think like just save up for the like big showcases?
I think what Xbox struggles with these showcases is getting content. Because I think a lot of developers are first going to go to Sony and Nintendo, and then Xbox is, besides their partnership with Sega, left with what's left.
Yeah,
like
100%.
And I think that definitely shows.
Real quick, we had a. Oh, sorry, Jed, did you have something to say?
No, like I think the one thing that Microsoft should do, which like they didn't really do that much on this one, only with a few games, is that really get more aggressive with like getting day one Game Pass games, like the third party deals, because I think that's what will get people hyped. And even if they subscribe for Game Pass for a month, it's still, you still got a new subscriber. And I think that's something that they should definitely consider.
100% agree. Moving off this story, I do real quick. Some scheduling issues arise, but Moon is here. Moon, thank you so much for joining. Last second, literally like right now, you were like tag me in, Coach.
It's like I see you guys needed an upgrade, so.
Wow, that's crazy.
Bench will have to leave in about 15 minutes or so. So Moon is here to fill in last second again. Thank you, Moon. But before you leave, Bench, I do want to just real quick talk about the Bandai Namco story.
Yeah, sure.
And also you want to talk about Metaphor before you have to leave. And Bandai Namco, pretty interesting news right here. Jordan Midler, Bandai Namco has reportedly canceled several titles and it's cutting its workforce. Bandai Namco is reportedly reducing its workforce and has canceled several titles, including games featuring the One Piece and Naruto licenses, as well as a project with Nintendo. According to Bloomberg, citing sources familiar with the matter, the company is taking a traditionally Japanese approach to reducing staff and sending workers to rooms where they are given nothing to do, putting pressure on them to leave voluntarily. Bandai Namco Studios has reportedly moved 200 workers to such rooms, leading to almost 100 resignations. I will say, just immediately, it's like, you cannot do that shit in the US because motherfuckers are just going to sit in that room. They're not leaving. Yeah. It's like, I'm getting paid to just sit here? Okay. But there's a lot more to get into with the story. More interestingly, it seems like they're doing a lot of cuts and shit. This is weird. Bandai Namco, I feel like on the outside you would see like what's happening. It's like, oh well, they had Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Tekken 8 this year. Like it seems like they're doing really well. But then you start seeing all their other games, and it's like a Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash, which was terrible. And then also you have something like God, what was it? Unknown 9 Awakening, which is releasing this week, which has horrible reviews.
What was that MMO? Blue something?
Blue Archive.
Protocol?
No, Blue Archive. Blue Protocol.
Blue-
that was it.
Yeah.
Like that was they
It's so
lost
many blues.
much money.
I mean, yeah, it just kind of shows it's like Bandai Namco, I think they're just trying to reduce. It's like, we do not need this many games. Let's slow it down a bit.
Which is interesting that the first thing they cut are their license game, because as many people have pointed out, that was like their bread and butter. That's how they made their place in the industry, is doing anime license games.
I think it comes down to, it's like, I feel like they maybe looked at those games. It's like, these games aren't good. Like, they're maybe just like, they don't want another Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash. So they're like, okay, this One Piece and Naruto game, like, we're not going to get any sales off these because these are just not very good games. Let's just cut them now. Obviously, like, you hear it, and it's like, oh, what? You're cutting, like, a One Piece game? Really? But then you try to think about it more. It's like, yeah, a lot of games get canceled because they're just not good. Like, that, it's simple as that. I mean, I will ask real quick, do you guys think Bandai Namco's kind of in trouble, or is this just like a hitch in the road and they'll be able to bounce back quickly?
It's a hitch from what every other company has suffered from, is they over invested during COVID, and now they're like, well, the numbers aren't staying up like during COVID, and they're like, we got to cut everything. We can't be doing this much. That's at least on stuff that isn't a guaranteed success. They're being less risky.
And they always got the cut from Soft Games, so I think they'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, FromSoft and Dragon Ball, Sparking Zero, Tekken still doing well. Like they're fine. They have more than enough money. It's just like kind of a weird situation, all things considered. They did have that Death Note game apparently coming out or not coming out. It got rated. I don't know what a fucking Death Note game looks like, I'll be honest. Someone said it would be like an Among Us style game. It's like, actually, that kind of works. But other than that, I got nothing else to say about it. It's a fascinating situation. I do like Bandai Namco a lot, so I hope they can stay in it.
And the biggest question has to be, what was that Nintendo partnership game?
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely forgot. I mean,
yeah,
I think it. Yeah. Do you think it's Kid Icarus Uprising remake? Because that was kind of a big rumor.
Knowing that would hurt me, it would be Kid Icarus.
Yeah. I mean, there was some theories, like maybe it was regards to like, no, it wouldn't. I was about to say Smash DLC, but I'm like, why? That wouldn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
If anything, it would be like maybe prototyping some kind of reboot.
Yeah, maybe like a Star Fox game that they were like super early in development. It's like, this isn't gonna work. Let's just cut it. Before we get into the small topics, we have a lot more news. But since Bench is leaving, he wants to talk about Metaphor. Wouldn't shut up about Metaphor. What? Who said that? Okay. But yeah, Jad's been playing it, Moon's been playing it, and Bench has been playing it. And we'll talk about the rest of the games we're playing later on, but just get the Metaphor talk out there.
I'm about 37 hours into Metaphor, and I've been told
it's been a week.
Halfway.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it is very good. But I will say, I thought I would come in here today and have a different conversation, because in the last 5 to 7 hours of the game, the pacing kind of got killed for me. But after booting it up again today, I put 5 hours in it. I'm reinvested and very much enjoying my time with this game and this world. The gameplay systems are really starting to get really good with the archetypes as I get more better ones. So I mean, I'm overall really enjoying Metaphor, and the social links are honestly some of Atlas's best. Some of the ones, specifically, there's one standout one that I've done so far that just completely blew me away. Music is also great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of good things in regards to that. I will say, Bench, every Persona game has that stretch that's like, oh, this is slow.
I mean, yeah, it's like they gave me so much free time and it killed the pacing.
100%. I mean, Jet, what about you?
Okay, so I'm only about 8 hours into this game, and oh my god, this is I feel like I've gone insane since I've started playing Atlas games this year. This is my 5th one, and Studio Zero, incredible studio. They made a Catherine Full Body, and I thought that game was really good. and because that studio also comprised of like some of the original Persona devs, like the ambition is really showing in this game, and it feels like well, like for us Ace Attorney fans, like how we got great Ace Attorney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of like I mean, this one's not like obviously a prequel to Persona, I think, but like it just feels like
So
it just
something in the
yeah.
same formula but completely different.
Exactly. Yeah, and like that's exactly what they do, where they change the mechanics completely. Even in Great Ace Attorney, they change the mechanics where like you have this now. This trial has a jury as well. So yeah, it is honestly like I've been having a good time with it. I'm like just past the first dungeon, and then I've been liking I've been starting to like some of the activities, like because in the beginning of the game it's a bit slow and you're very limited on like what you can actually do like with the free time that you have. But I've heard like as you progress more, more activities are gonna unlock, and they do tend to get better, and then more social links, of course. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, the characters are amazing. This whole mechanic of like basically switching your persona is very interesting to me, and I realized I was like doing it wrong for one of the boss fights, and that took me like a long time to actually defeat them. But
No,
yeah,
that's fascinating. Yeah, no, I mean it's very much like has a lot of that DNA, but like very much shifts the battle formula quite a bit.
exactly. And to me, being 8 hours in, I still don't understand why they called it metaphor Fantasio, but
It's a
you know,
metaphor.
it's a metaphor.
Oh, such a stupid fucking name. I'm not gonna roast the game itself, but the name is
hey.
awful. What, Bench?
Don't
What?
judge the
What
name
is the
until you
name?
play the game.
I can judge the name because I'm looking at the name. It's a bad name.
But the name has meaning.
Bench, we all have games that we love that have bad names. You have to admit it.
But I like this name now.
You like it now?
Yeah, I think the good name.
You always liked it. Admit it.
I did. But now I like it more, if that makes any sense.
I guess it makes some sense. Mood, what about you?
Yeah, I'm about 30 hours in. I think that's what I just ended that last night. And
What are you guys doing? Do you guys have jobs? Holy shit.
Are y'all sleeping?
Yeah, really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
but yeah, it's still I'm still really enjoying my time with it. But my problem, I don't remember. I don't think I've said it on the podcast. But my problem with it still persists. Doesn't feel like a next gen title, if that's to use the gamer quote. It feels like a game that would have really existed on like the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and that's because the models and animations and everything just doesn't feel out any better than it did in Persona 5. Like I said this, I think in chat, it feels like a Persona 5 mod in some ways because so many animations are borrowed from Persona 5. So many structures of the game are borrowed from Persona 5. It's crazy, but but they are trying some couple other things. Like I just did. Okay, here's a minor spoiler: the skateboarding on your sword. It doesn't feel
dude,
great.
the skateboarding's so
Yeah,
sick though. Come on, you gotta admit it looks cool though.
It looks cool. It looks cool, but it functions terribly.
Yeah.
Like
it ain't Tony Hawk.
not even that, but just the random stuttering of when you stop for a moment to like turn or whatever, and it like your character actually like puts his foot on the ground and you come to a complete halt, so that makes you jut back into the animation. So it's just stuff like that. And I won't say another spoiler. There's another part of the skateboarding that happens in the story, and that was awful. But
Have you finished? So you finished the third dungeon.
the floating ship, yeah.
Whoa! I didn't know there were ships.
So are you on to the next dungeon, or are you just in like the in
I
between?
just finished that last night.
Okay, I'm about to that's where the game, the fourth dungeon's where the game really started to click with me again. So I'll be back.
Yeah, things are starting to click in the Persona fashion where I'm like, okay, I can go do this in my free time, hang out with people. I guess that is my other gripe with it. The hanging out with people doesn't feel as good as it does in Persona.
Because there's no romance. That's why.
Well, not only
Yeah.
that would have been interesting, especially with the characters that we have. But besides that, it doesn't feel like a natural progression. Yeah, there is the side stories that everyone has, like Persona does, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel as. It's hard to explain, but it doesn't feel as connected as well as it did in Persona. Especially certain characters. Like there's the one when you get really early in the game, you've seen her in the trailers, that pink bunny girl. You only see her in, at least so far, maybe it changes later on, but so far you only get her in cutscenes. Like there is no hanging out with her in random days on your days off because she's off doing something else. So if you want to use her archetype, the brawler, good fucking luck. You're not upgrading that thing for a long ass time because you can't hang out with her. So it's stuff like that that's kind of annoying. But
So
overall,
you can't change classes without hanging out?
No, you can change, but your progression with that archetype. So she's the brawler. She gives you the brawler archetype.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And as you level up, you do the side stuff with the characters. You gain stuff with them, like being able to get extra attacks. Like you can, like Pokemon move, like you can add extra attacks to their arsenal. But that only comes from upgrading the character bond and hanging out with them. But you can't do that with the brawler because you can't hang out with this character. So you're stuck with whatever normal moves the archetype comes with and not any of the what's called an inherited move, which you borrow from other classes. So you're kind of just stuck with a move set that you can't modify in any kind of way because you haven't unlocked it yet. If that makes any sense.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, no, that sounds right. It sounds like it's very clunky. Is that the word? Like it's not like fully play tested the way you would like it to be.
It's like it's great with all the other archetypes and with the characters that you can hang out with regularly. Like there's this little girl that like there's always in all these Atlas games. There's this little girl you can hang out with.
It's always a little girl.
Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, it's always the most heartwarming and heart wrenching story of them all.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's like I'm breezing through her thing. She's like my highest one right now. I'm like at rank 7 of her already, and because she keeps popping up, and that's great for my healer class because she gives you the healer class, and that's great. So I can have like all these awesome upgraded abilities. But my brawler class is floundering in the dirt because I can't hang out with the bunny girl. So that part was that part never was really, I guess, fleshed out. But
it sounds like an evolution of Arcanas in the sense of like utilizing those different classes. But the problem is like, because like this kind of thing happened with Arcanas too. Like with like a certain Arcana, like the tower one doesn't appear until like super late into Persona 5. So it's like you barely have enough time to hang out with them and upgrade your gun skill. And it seems like with this game, it's a lot more severe not being able to hang out with them and actually raise them. So it's like a good idea to hang out with them. And it kind of sucks when you're not able to hang out with them because they're just not there.
Yeah, especially because Brawler is actually a good class. It's like it sucks that. And then the other one, one of my other favorite classes, the Gunner. He's tied to your driver character, and you can only upgrade and hang out with him when you go find treasure in the dungeons. So unless you know exactly which dungeon to go do and go find that treasure, you can't hang out with them.
Jesus. That just sounds annoying.
Yeah. So that part wasn't, and like I keep saying, I don't know, maybe it's just weird that I'm watching this from a animation standpoint. Like all the character models, it looks like a bunch of late PlayStation 3, early PlayStation 4 anime titles.
Oh yeah, that's most anime titles nowadays, though.
Yeah. But then I see something like I said before. I think it's unfair to compare it to like Yakuza, which is like out of this world in their animation.
I mean, Yakuza is a fair comparison because they reuse assets all the time, and it seems like it's just not nearly as noticeable, at least to you.
Yeah. But I'm still enjoying it. I think I described this to Bench when we were talking about in the chat, but it feels like playing Metaphor feels like you discovered an old gem of a game from like a decade ago, and it's so good. The world and the story and the characters are so fun, so that you're able to forgive its age. Like that when you discover like a really cool backlog game is what I'm saying. That's what Metaphor feels like from a technical standpoint.
I'm interested. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely going to check it out eventually. I think my problem right now with Metaphor is 80 hours, guys. Let's calm down. What are we doing here? But I mean I'm going to get to it.
I mean, we all spent 100 hours doing Infinite Wealth.
Yeah, it's weird. And with Infinite Wealth, I'm just kind of accepted it was 100 hours. Same with like Persona 3 Reload. But with Metaphor, I'm like, okay, come on, guys, you got a new IP, and now you're gonna start with the 80-hour game. Like you gotta ease
Yeah.
me into it, you know. But hey, I'm excited to play some Metaphor eventually. I'm gonna get to it by the end of the year. Bench thinks I'm never gonna play this game. I bought it. I'm gonna play it. It's just I don't know. Thanks. Time. Just so much time. Well, not enough time, more like.
Not enough time.
But speaking of time, kind of, we got some sales datas all across the industry. A shit ton of sales data. We can just quickly chat about all of these. Bandai Namco, Stealth 40K has announced that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero sold 3 million units in 24 hours. It's the fastest Dragon Ball game ever. I will say it's funny because this story came out quite literally the exact same time as they were like, we're not making enough money, we gotta lay people off. It's like, what more do you want? Obviously it was already set in motion, but it's just funny thing like the timing of these announcements.
Yeah, and just really quick with that game, like I was watching a video on it, like a review, and I am surprised how many characters there are in that game. It's 180 characters.
It's fucking insane. It's so good to be back.
Yeah, and all across all of like the arc of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and I think Super.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
They have pretty much everything, even GT, and nobody likes GT. And the next sales data is Silent Hill 2 sold 1 million copies in about a week or so, which I want to point out means it is the fastest selling Silent Hill game, and is probably on track to be the best selling Silent Hill games. I don't know if you guys think so too, because I think best selling is
just because
it's the original 2 at 2.2.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just feels like it's going to be the best selling just because it's been such a long time since a big Silent Hill project came out, and the gaming landscape is bigger than it is. So when a title comes back with a new installment, it's always going to be the best selling as long as the game is good. It's always going to be the best selling just because more people are playing video games now more than ever.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that I agree with that, and also more people are now also into horror games. Like the Resident Evil games are a huge success. A lot of people played Dead Space last year, right? So it's definitely and also Alan Wake. So definitely people want something new in horror, and then they'll see this and be like, oh, I should definitely check it out. Yeah.
So I will say something. I looked it up. Apparently, the best-selling Silent Hill game is the first game at 2 million. Silent Hill 2 originals only sold 1 million. So that means the remake sold faster than the lifetime sales of the original. Which, I mean, like you said, Moon, the gaming landscape has changed. Social media is a lot bigger, and word of mouth is much, much stronger. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think this is going to pretty easily be the best-selling Silent Hill game, which is deserved. It's an amazing game. I'm going to talk about it more later. Next up, this was a crazy statistics. He's like, put on Twitter, It Takes Two has sold over 20 million copies. You're the best fans in the world, and how you've embraced our game is blowing our minds. I played a bit of Take Two. I think I played like half of it. Did you play it, man? I forget.
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it.
No, it's a great game from what I played.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game, and like I personally think it did deserve the game of the year for when it did win, and like I am shook as well at how it got 20 million. But I think one reason, this came out 2021, right? So I think that was still when like lockdown measures were in effect, and I think definitely like couples or like families who have like siblings, like they want to get something for them to play. I think that definitely had like an impact where people were just at home and needed wanted a multiplayer game, and this was cheaper than most AAA games. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean the $40 price tag. You got the friend pass thing, so you could just like you don't like both of you do not have to play the game or buy the game. Only one of you has to buy the game. It was a pretty easy success story for this game, and I'll ask you guys this: do you think this might put like not unreasonable, but like kind of unrealistic sales expectations for Hazelight's next game? Which, I mean, I might as well actually bring up the story right now. Hazelight just posted on Twitter. Now that you mention it, I think he dropped this in the office, Joseph Ferris. And he put, it's like a document that says new IP and then release 202, and then it's like crossed out the last part. And we looked, there's nothing there. And Joseph Ferris actually tweeted out, getting a lot of questions. Here's a tease. It is a brand new IP called S blank and then a space and then blank and then ends with N. So who knows what that means? But it seems like they're gearing up for a new release. And do you guys think kind of like the sales of It Takes Two might make it a bit worrying?
I mean, yes and no, because at the same time, that's lifetime sales after what, 4 years? So I don't know if they're gonna be really expecting that kind of a success like right off the bat. I mean, the games that they make are always on the smaller side. It Takes Two just had the perfect storm of COVID, Game of the Year nomination, and all that. So unless they pull out all the stops and do another big Game of the Year type game, I don't think so.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
So one thing I was thinking about was like I think there might be definitely like high expectations even from like internally, like from EA now. It's like they're probably really excited for like what Joseph Ferris is cooking. And my theory is that we're gonna see something at Keighley's like the Game Awards this year because he loves. I mean, Joseph Ferris is always there. He said fuck the Oscars there. So yeah, that's like that's what I'm thinking, and I'm hoping it's a 2025 or 2026 game. Like I hope we get it soon.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you. I think it's actually most likely 2025, considering it's been about 4 years since It Takes Two, and that was like 3 years after A Way Out. So they're a pretty fast development studio in regards to that. I am kind of curious what like the limit is for these kind of co-op games, and I mean the thing is like they're kind of the only ones in that space of like just a pure fun co-op game. So I think that'll actually help them out a lot and really stand out against the competition. And then next is the final sales figure is Resident Evil 4 Remake has sold over 8 million units. I wish Bench was here because this motherfucker said RE4 Remake sold disappointingly when it was at like 5 million. Do you think he would still say the same now?
I think just according to Square Enix, it didn't meet sales expectations.
Yeah.
No, but that's really good for a Resident Evil game, like 8 million units. I think that puts it at least halfway to making RE7's sales figures. I might be wrong there. And then next story, Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
Yes.
Man, I know I know you're excited for this game, but can we at least admit the name's kind of dumb?
They could have just been Expedition 33. I don't know who this Claire Obscure is, and I don't know if I think it's an author or something. I don't even know.
I think it's French, Claire Obscure, because it's a French studio. I don't know. I'm not a big. If it was just Expedition 33, I'm with you. That would actually be a really cool name. But anyways, we got some details in regards to the game. It's not in the Sal Romanu's Gamatsu article, which I'm pulling from, but I think it's a budget release. You might remember, Moon. Was it 50 or 40?
50.
50. So it's going to be a budget release, not as much as a full price game. But we got some details in regards to the voice cast and also a spring 2025 release window. The company also released a new trailer, including the game's voice cast, which is, you guys are going to help me out here, Charlie Cox.
Mm-hmm. Daredevil himself.
Oh, he's Daredevil? Oh, I fucking dude, I watched like 5 episodes of that show. That was sick. He was awesome. Jennifer English, who I know is Baldur's Gate 3. She was Shadowheart. She's awesome. Christy Ryder.
I don't know anything about that one.
Okay. Shala Nix. Andy Serkis? I hear that name all the time.
Yeah, Gollum.
Yeah. Gollum.
He's Gollum?
And all the new 8 movies. Caesar.
Oh, shit. Oh, damn. Okay, well, there you go.
Basically the king of motion capture actors.
What does he look like? Now I'm curious.
If you saw Black Panther, he was the villain in that.
Yeah.
No fucking way. Wait, what?
Claw.
Yeah.
Wait, he's in Black Panther?
Yeah, he was at the museum, that scene.
Dude, oh, that's what he looks like. He was in Andor.
Yeah, he's in Andor. Yeah, he's the meme from Andor.
Yeah. I didn't watch Andor. I just know the meme. And then Ben Starr, I know that. Very big for Clive. And Rich Keeble, Devora Wild, Tracy Wiles, and Maxen Kazalor. Kazorla? I don't know. But yeah, very, very big voice cast. It seems like they got Andy Serkis. That's pretty
Which is
huge.
the thing that's most interesting is most people, when they hear the trailer, they thought it was Ben Starr as the main character. But no, he's not. It's Charlie Cox who's the main character. And we're now all assuming Ben Starr is voicing the villain. Or at least one of the villains.
Yeah, no, most likely. I mean, he says as Verso, a dangerous stranger. Verso is an outsider of unknown origin who closely tracks the expedition. Yeah, definitely sounds like main villain vibes.
And,
I'm interested. I know you're really excited for this one, man.
Yeah, the gameplay itself is just like what really has me in. This like big epic fantasy turn-based that's also has like quick time events. It's like everything I would want they would want to do. So I guess it's just saying seems like a game I would try to make if I was a charge of a big studio, or even not a big studio, like a medium-sized studio like that, like they have.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a very AA game, AA spirit, and it seems like this is a very passionate team that loves JRPGs and kind of wants to move the genre forward and like try different styles of how you can make those JRPGs. And I'm always up for innovation in a AA space, which is kind of an empty space at the moment. You don't get a lot of those games, so to see more and more of them pop up gets me really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Same, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jad, please.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was just gonna say, yeah. Visually, like to me, it looks cool. And when it was shown at the Xbox showcase, right? Like that was when we saw that first trailer. That was like one of the few that like I really liked. Like I was actually amazed at how that game looked. And so yeah, and I'm surprised that it's coming out sooner, like spring 2025. I thought we were gonna be waiting a while. Yeah,
I thought it was gonna be like a fall game. There was even like that report that like as soon as the Xbox showcase wrapped up, there was like this report was coming out in October, and we were all like, "What the fuck?" But no, that turned out to be false. I forget what they were referring to, but yeah, it just said no 2025, and then we're like, okay, fine. It's this big game. It's probably gonna be like a late summer, early fall kind of game. Like, no, here you go, spring, along with everything else that's coming out in February. But this feels like a March, April kind of release, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I could see like April, May, somewhere around that range. Definitely, I think it will be a success because I think pretty much everyone who's interested in this game is immediately interested. Like, yeah, you're gonna get at least 1 million of sales at least, and that's more than enough for a studio of this size.
And plus, they got the Game Pass bag, so I think they're gonna do pretty good.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, no, I mean that's huge. Moving into our next story, Jet, this is for you. IO Interactive's Project 007. New details. Not a lot, but we got some details. Shinobi has this. Production going, quote, amazingly well. We'll share more details soon. The game will be an origin story with a James Bond built from the ground up. Given their experience with Hitman, we're able to convince the IP owners to make another James Bond game almost 15 years since the last game. Wait, so that means it was in 2009? Holy shit!
Yeah, it was probably a movie tie-in or something. Yeah,
I think so. I think it was the Activision one. And then IO hopes the game can be a success and they can make it a trilogy. I mean, Jet, this is all you. You love IO. You love James Bond. How are you feeling about this bad boy?
Yeah, so I am excited in that this is like they're not gonna be taking from like the Daniel Craig movies or like probably like whoever the next James Bond is to make that. But like, I mean, there's definitely gonna be like for sure some sort of like inspirations from them. Like I'm sure they've watched the movies for developing to at least see like the gadgets and everything. But yeah, a younger James Bond is definitely exciting me, and I think IO can cook in that they are the king of making really good stealth games. Even though Hitman's like a very goofy one, and the big thing you do is like you disguise yourself. There's not going to be that much of that in James Bond. Like James Bond never does. He's slick. He's slick. He wears a suit. So I am curious about how they go about that. But definitely one thing I hope they do right is all the cool gadgets and like vehicles and everything. And they definitely have to do they haven't done this too much in Hitman. Is like making these like big cinematic moments. So yeah, that's another thing I'm looking forward to, and and I trust IO with it. So let them cook, and hopefully it's out next year. Yeah.
You think this thing's a bit closer than we expect at the moment?
Yeah, I think it would be either late next year or early 26, because it's been in development for quite some time. And even with Hitman, like they've been doing like updates regularly, but they've had this game, and then they've also had what's it called, they had that fantasy game, right, in collaboration with Microsoft.
The Microsoft Dragons
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, so I'm surprised like at how big like the studio's grown. Where like they went from, depending on Square Enix to publish all the old Hitman games to then Warner Brothers publishing the second one, and then they're like, nah, fuck it, we're gonna publish Hitman 3. And yeah, so that's like that is an insane trajectory of a studio. So I'm really excited for the future.
No, I mean, they're a very talented studio. They're very resource efficient. They're able to pump stuff out way faster than average studios. It's deserved. I'm very excited to see what they can do next, and I think IO is going to really nail this one. It kind of just feels like the perfect fit. Everyone was saying like the last level of Hitman 3 kind of just felt like a test bed for what they were going to do with the sequel, with James Bond. Jeez.
Yeah.
Cannot talk today. Moving into our next story, I found this fascinating. Spider-Man 2, officially, this was today, releasing on PC on January 30th. Wario 64 had this, and Nixxes helping again with the port. But the most interesting part about all this is on the PlayStation blog where they announced it, quote, while we have no additional story content planned for Marvel Spider-Man 2, we're delighted to bring all our previously released post-launch content to the PC version, including New Game Plus, new suits, and color variants, photo mode features, and more. Specifically, that no additional story content planned for Spider-Man 2. I mean, what do you guys read that as? Is it a case of like, are they biding their time for Venom? Is Venom still a thing? Because I'm pretty adamant, I think Venom got canceled.
Yeah, the fact that we're hearing more about Wolverine, and I'm assuming now Spider-Man 3 is probably in pre-production somewhere. Yeah, I think Venom probably got scrapped somewhere along the way, or whatever they planned for Venom, maybe they're going to shove into Spider-Man 3 and just make it as big a game as possible. Yeah, it's just kind of an interesting thing to hear. I thought I was pretty like under the assumption there was no DLC because we would have seen it by now. It's like it's been a whole year since the original game now. But
yeah,
it's just weird, and I think I just kind of forgot about it. I think
it kind of felt like that. It was like I was like expecting like, where's the Spider-Man 2 DLC, and then eventually I was like, I can wait. Though it does make a lot of those like kind of like teasers at for some of those quest lines, those side quests, like the Burning. What was it? The Burning Man, or like the one where they tease a certain big bad comic book villain coming in.
Carnage.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to say it, man.
It's been a year.
I know. I was saying, I don't know. I don't want to get yelled at. I will say, yeah, if Carnage, stuff like that, kind of makes me dislike that moving forward, because it's like, okay, guys, I have to wait till Spider-Man 3 for a resolve. Like, I thought that shit was going to be DLC. I felt like it was really gearing up to be that. But now I got to wait a whole, like, probably like 5 years until Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, like 5 years, because we got to do Wolverine next. And
yeah,
has there been talk of anything else that they've been doing other than Wolverine?
I mean, we could talk about the Insomniac leak. There was an X-Men game, if I remember correctly, new IP in like 2031, and a Ratchet game in 2029.
So, well, at least Ratchet's still around.
Yeah, really. It just kind of sucks to see Insomniac kind of become the Marvel studio, in my opinion. Because it's like, they were so good about like having their own identity, and now they're just kind of making Marvel games.
Yeah, no, I think that's like more of like the Sony decision higher ups, where they're just seeing the numbers and they're like, all right, Spider-Man selling crazy well. Sadly, like Ratchet and Clank is not as much, so that's why they're being pushed in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunate, but hey, I mean, I'm hoping that Wolverine game is a ton of fun. We've been hearing that it's supposedly getting a re-reveal sooner rather than later. It kind of makes me wonder when. Probably a TGA type deal. That just kind of makes sense for that show.
Yeah, because it's a definite mainstream appeal kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Just reminds me of like the whole backlash of why didn't Spider-Man 2 win Game of the Year?
Yeah, looking back on that, it's like, no, it didn't really need to. we had a lot of other games.
Yeah, and this would be the year to definitely reveal Wolverine because of how big like Deadpool and Wolverine was this year. So people would definitely make that connection. Like, oh yeah, I saw this superhero, and now there's a game where you play as him. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And that's everything for the news. Like I said, we got a lot of like small stories just to yap about. I do have reviews of the week, which only one. Super Mario Party Jamboree came out today. Oh no, it came out yesterday because Nintendo does this Thursday release bullshit. Comes out with an 81 on OpenCritic. 87% of critics recommend. It was funny because we got like a 9 out of 10 from IGN and then a 2 out of 5 from Eurogamer. Those are the first two reviews. It's like, oh, someone got Mario Party BS. But it seems like Mario Party Jamboree is a pretty positive experience for most people who are playing it. It's a Mario Party game, so it's actually pretty insane to see it at an 81. Those aren't the type of games that would get to even close to a 75. So it's actually like, oh, this is actually a good new Mario Party game, which it's been a while since we've had that. I mean, we had Superstars, but that was kind of a remake of like the first 3 games. So there's a whole brand new one, and they're just like, yeah, we actually kind of nailed it. Jad, I know you're Mario Party. Are you a Mario Party, Jad? I actually don't know for sure.
So the last one I played was Super Mario Party, and this is the kind of thing that I feel like it's very much a Nintendo thing where you buy Super Mario Party because it's like, the first Mario Party that came on Switch, and you want something to play. Like you want this party game to play with your friends. A couple years later, they release a way better one, Mario Party Superstars, and you're like, shit. Why do I have this one when I could be playing that one? And yeah, I mean, like I am very big on Mario Party. I've been more nostalgic about like the Wii versions than the Switch one, but I think I definitely want to pick up like Jamboree and play with some people, or like play with my siblings whenever I see them, or like have some friends over, because it does seem like that type where it just feels like it's bringing back to the classic Mario Party. And God forbid they ever even consider looking at 9 and 10 and being like, yo, remember that car that we brought in?
No, not the car. The big worry for me was like, okay, are the boards going to be good? And pretty much that's the one thing that everyone says is like, yeah, no, the boards are great. Like, that's the best part about the game, is like they actually kind of nailed the boards, which, hey, that's the most important aspect. Maybe they'll do DLC. They won't. We kept expecting Super Mario Party and Superstars DLC. They never did it, so I don't think we should expect it here. But what we got is a pretty good Mario Party, and I'm definitely going to be checking it out. It's the perfect game to just order a pizza and hang out with friends and just yell at each other for. But as we get to the end, we got to talk about what we've been playing. We already talked about Metaphor Refantasio. I haven't played a lot this week. I played a good amount of Silent Hill 2, like probably a few more hours. Still amazing, still loving it, still fucking freaking me out. It is a really hard game to play at night, which is usually when I get most of my gaming time in. So it's like, oh damn, I could just barely play it. But it is an absolute blast. I will say it is getting to the point where I'm like, god damn, I don't even want to play it because of how terrified I am playing it. But I highly recommend it. That story is still strong, still love those. The gameplay overall is actually way improved, and I'm pretty happy with how they kind of nailed it. I'm really proud of Blooper Team. Glad they were able to kind of do that underdog story. But this
imagine telling yourself that a year ago.
Dude, seriously, I was thinking about that. It's like, man, I don't know how I live in a universe where I think Blooper Team did good, but they did it.
Not only did Blooper Team did good, but they did good on a Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it had every right to be bad, and they were like, no, we're actually gonna fucking nail it.
You were dreading this like the past year.
Yeah, and dude, I was like, Fusion and Bench were like, oh no, it looks good, and then it comes out, and it's like, god damn it, they were right. I'm mad. This morning, the Astrobot DLC level came out, the first one, and I beat Moon's Time. I just want to point that out.
I gotta get back to that.
27 seconds. I don't know how they did it. That's like the current top leader on the leaderboard.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's like the person who did it isn't someone who posts it online. Like the quickest I found is like 31 or I think 29 is what I think I saw. I saw Grub and he had like 30 or 29.
Yeah, he reached 29 at the end.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to study that for a bit, see if I can get that.
Yeah, it's very tight timing on like everything. Like it's very much you got to spam the rocket dog and like really specific jumps. to the point where like I was shaving off like half a second, and it's like I don't even know how I did that.
Yeah, that's the problem with my run so far is there's 2 sections of it that I know I'm like I could do this better, and then the entire run hinges on if can I land this like mini jump dash that you need to do to make it actually go by quickly.
Yeah. And then Jat, you've been playing Famicom Detective Club. I'm interested to hear about this. What was it? Emio? Are you playing Emio or are you playing the first game?
So yeah, right now I'm starting with the first game, but eventually I'll get to Emio. And
Okay.
yeah, I'm like 6 chapters into it, so it's like just over the halfway mark, and it's really interesting. Like I was surprised because this kind of like set the footing for for the Ace Attorney games, because you can even tell with like the gameplay, the investigations portions of those games were heavily inspired by Ace Attorney, and for me, I am really liking the story of these games, and like the characters are to me are really interesting because there's this like without spoiling too much, yeah, you're trying to solve like these murders of these murders in a family, and like you're you're diving deeper into a conspiracy essentially, and you have like all these suspects in your mind, like who could it be? Did this person do it, or like you know it like to me I feel like this game's like kind of pointing you in one direction, in a direction of like, oh this person seems really suspicious, but I'm like I feel like they're fooling me, and maybe they're not. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, although my only complaint with this game and that's that because this game doesn't like let you, like how in Ace Attorney you can free roam wherever to each room, or like to each location and talk with people. In this game, you're basically like you're stuck at a location until you get the info you need, and at certain points, it's a bit of like trial and error in like in what you do and like how you get info. Like sometimes it's something as simple as like straight up investigating the person you're talking with, and then that gives you more information and lets you move on.
Yeah, some of the specific order you have to do for those games is absolutely ridiculous. I would not have gone through that game without a guide.
Oh yeah,
and there's pretty like in that way.
yeah, and there's also a lot of like filler like dialogue as well. Like you can like there's a bunch of like talking points and you can skip like half of those in some cases because they're not really relevant to the case. They just put them there just because.
Filler dialogue, like what do you call it, Moon? It's like dialogue that's not important to a story. It's just there as dressing. God, I forget what it's called.
Filler?
No, not filler. I don't know, but filler dialogue, I guess. I know there's an actual term for it in writing.
Fluff.
Fluff, yeah, kind of like that. But yeah, no, I'm very curious to see how Emio does for Nintendo. They seem to be pretty happy with it. I haven't seen much sales figure-wise.
That's the whole like big surprising part is they were never vocal about if the remakes of the first 2 games actually like sold well, were received well. They just kind of released it and then never said a thing. So that
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just because I say that's probably just Nintendo in general, but
it is called Famicom Detective Club, so I feel like they kind of know it's not going to sell crazy.
yeah, but just the fact that it sold well enough to be like, okay, let's do a sequel of all things to a 30-year-old franchise of visual novels, like, so it must have sold well enough to where they say, okay, we'll greenlight another one. So that's just what the whole surprising thing to me. And I want to support it, so I need to get around to buying it. I need to support this thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't even planning on playing it like for this year because the year is just so packed. But now that Jat's playing it, now it can be maybe higher up in the soggy. So now I got to play it to give it some support.
Yes, we got to do it.
I'm curious about it. I might check it out. I was about to say if it's on sale, Nintendo game. Got to remember. But
it was for like $5.
Yeah, it's a $51 one if I remember correctly, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think that's it. Moon, did you have anything else you were playing, or was it just Metaphor?
What did I play before Metaphor came out?
Is that one of those things? Oh damn! What, dude? You know that moment where you like think back to 2 weeks ago? It's like, what did I do 2 weeks ago? How old am I getting to where I'm starting to forget that?
Yeah, I remember I finished again. I'm like, oh cool, I finished this before Metaphor came out. What the fuck was that? I gotta go look at my list.
It's pulling out the list. It's like a tablet, like Moses.
Yeah, no, like for me 2 weeks ago, I was like back from my trip and just out because I had gotten like super sick, so I was barely able to even play anything.
Hey, I mean, you got out of it though. You're not sick no more, right? Unless you're gonna try to get me sick.
Oh no,
over the internet.
Yeah, but this is how the pandemic 2 starts.
Yeah, just through a fucking podcast.
Plucky Squire. God, the game was so beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, you talked about that on the pod. You were just not into it. I mean, you finished it though, right?
Yeah, I finished it. The last like hour or so definitely was a little bit on the better side, but still, it was. Also, the game crashed on me 3 times in the final level.
It's fascinating. I mean,
it was bug free the entire time, and then in the final, like walk up to the final villain, it crashed. It crashed in 3 different ways, which I find really funny. So he popped out of the book, and I was supposed to run up to the mountain to fight the final boss, but I was T-posing the entire time. Then it was raining meteors, so I got hit by a meteor, and then I got stuck in place. So I was T-posing stuck in place, so I had to restart the game. Then I rebooted the game again. The meteors were just not there. The meteors weren't coming down.
Jesus.
And then, so I reset again, and then I finally got up to the part. So there's going up to the mountain to fight the villain. You have to like move some blocks so you can jump on them and get up higher. But he basically grabbed the block and then flew it off screen. It just left the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to restart it again because I couldn't get up because I didn't have the block now.
Jesus, man. I mean, Plucky Square, it seems like the conversation around that game dissipated way faster than I expected. And I mean, that's kind of the case with every game nowadays, but honestly, with Plucky Square, it was like weird where you had a lot of high reviews, but then there's just the lasting conversation was, it's just kind of not as good as we were expecting.
Yeah, a lot of people I don't know about a lot of people, but some people are saying it falls more under the experience kind of game.
Yeah, I heard that, and I was like, I'm out. You lost
I will say it's probably a step above an experience game, but it's definitely, and I think I even said this before the game came out, I had to worry that it was more style over substance, and that's definitely what happened.
Yeah. I remember we were talking about that on the podcast. We were just like, is it going to be kind of a style over substance game? And it seems like that's very much the case.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gents, that was our podcast. Had a lot of fun. Jet, thank you so much for coming. And Moon, thank you for the last minute edition.
Glad I got to ramble on metaphor, even though I probably made no sense.
No, I think a lot of your points make a lot of sense. I'm interested to kind of see for myself when I eventually get to it. And Jad, again, thank you for coming by.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, this was really fun.
And Moon, I just want to confirm while we're on the pod, this weekend you want to do the Pokemon thing, right? Like we actually discussed, because we were talking about it earlier.
We can do it this weekend if you want.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to kind of dive deep into those leaks and actually, because we were very surface level talking about it today, so I kind of want to like really talk about like, especially those Gen 3 fucking concept art. I cannot stop thinking about Cacturn and shit.
Yeah, that's the
But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Very special episode of Slice of Gaming. I just realized I'm so mad at ourselves, guys. You know what episode number this is? 69. We didn't make a single joke. Honestly, I should have stayed that way.
You want to know what's even worse, though? Want to know what's worse, though? What? I've been meaning to tell you this, and every time I remember to tell you, I keep forgetting. You're like either asleep or something that comes up. But your numbering has been off for a while. So 69 was actually last week, and this is 70.
Okay, well, this is episode 70. My apologies, everybody. Damn, we didn't even say 69 last week. No.
Just make one episode 0.5. It will fix it. Easy.
69.5. All right, there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. All the podcast platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Like us on Twitter. Like the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at A Slice of Gaming. And if you like that, check us out. We're going to have a lot of video content hopefully soon. Anyways, appreciate everything, you guys. All the support. Say good night, everyone.
See ya.
Right.